Hi guys, and welcome to another Pilates class. Let's go ahead and get started. Today we're going to start on all fours, and you want to widen the fingertips as much as you can and really press into the front part of your hands, more towards those front knuckles. Make sure your hips are in line with each other and that your knees are not too far forward and instead are parallel with your hips. We're going to start to round the back, really extending through the spine, and then arch, lengthen through the crown of the head. Again for 2. Feel free to go at your own pace here, working with your breath. One more time. Now we'll settle into our neutral spine position, just a little bit of curve in our low back. Make sure not to overarch here. And then keeping our hips in line with each other, we're going to start to glide our right leg back behind us. Notice we're not going to move the hips at all. As we lift and lower our straight leg, keeping our hips parallel, squeezing the glutes so we don't overarch our back. You should be able to stay in neutral spine each time you lift the leg. Nice, and then we'll switch to the other side, lengthening up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. Bringing the legs back in towards each other. Tuck the toes under. And now we're going to just hover the knees right above the mat. Keep the shoulders down and don't round the back. Holding here. Keep holding. And then slowly lift back into a down dog. Press the backs of the legs back behind you and lengthen through the arms, pushing out of the hands so you really feel a release in your back. And take a few breaths here. And we're going to start to come forward to our plank position. You may need to wiggle those toes back a little bit to get to a full plank. You want to make sure your shoulders and wrists are in line and squeezing the glutes. Press back to a down dog and then forward to our plank. Good. Again for 2. Each time you come forward, really make sure you're pulling the belly in and squeezing the glutes at the same time. Good. Again for 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We're going to come back down onto our knees and then flip over onto our backs. Bring the feet flat onto the floor and then hands down at your side. You want to make sure you're still in that neutral spine that we've talked about in our other videos. From here, we're going to lift our right leg up to a tabletop and the left leg up to meet it. Alternating toe taps, we're going to drop our right toes down to the floor and then our left. And you want to keep that true 90-degree angle between your heels and your hips. So your toes are going to feel like they're extending forward in front of you. Don't worry if the toes don't actually touch the ground. Your form here is much more important. Couple more. And last 2. Now we're going to take our hands behind our head and start to slowly curl up. And instead of trying to, my mic keeps moving. Instead of trying to move up, you're going to hold here and then extend one leg forward and then the other. It's a little easier if you go up towards the ceiling. The lower to the floor you go, the harder you will make this. And the more you'll want to press your low back into the mat so that you don't have any space. And last 3, 2, and 1. Lowering ourselves back down, bring the feet back onto the floor and the hands back down to your sides. Now we're going to slowly curl up, sliding our fingers towards our heels on one side and then the other. Keep the chin tucked so you don't feel any pain in your neck. And if you are touching your heels, make sure you touch both heels so you know you're even on both sides. But it's fine if you don't end up touching the heels. If you feel pain in your neck, then go ahead and hold the hands behind the head and continue the same motion side to side. Last 2 and 1. Nice. Lowering back down. We're going to take our hands straight up behind us. If you can't reach the floor, that's okay. Just bring your hands up a little bit higher. But if you can reach the floor, go ahead and extend back as much as you can. Draw the shoulders down towards your feet as your fingertips stretch towards the back of your room. Keep your upper back down on the mat so we're not going to arch completely, only keeping neutral spine. If you feel like you can't keep that arch, go ahead and lift your hands up so you can sink your rib cage down into the mat. And then we'll release our hands back down to the sides and lift both legs to a tabletop position. We're going to squeeze our legs towards each other, engaging our inner thighs. And then we're going to lower both legs down, keeping neutral spine still. For 1. Nice and slow and controlled for 2. Keep your hands on your hips. You want to make sure you're not poofing through the belly and you're really pulling that belly button down towards your spine. 5. 6. It's fine if your toes don't touch the floor here. Keeping the legs together is a lot harder than alternating. 9 and 10. Bringing the feet back down to the floor. Bring the knees out to the sides and the soles of the feet together. If you feel any pain in the sides of your hips, go ahead and roll a towel or take some blocks and put them right underneath your hips. This will help support the hips so you don't feel any pain. Take a few breaths here. This is a nice position to keep a neutral spine in. So we're actually going to pull up on our pelvic floor muscles here. Same feeling you have when you need to go to the bathroom and you can't find one yet. So you're holding there, and those are actually our pelvic floor muscles, and they're quite important for our abdominal makeup. So holding that pelvic floor by pulling it up and in. Squeeze the glutes slightly, so there's just a slight feeling of a tuck in your low back. Bring your hands behind your head and curl up for 1. 2, your legs should feel active here. 3, 4, again curling up using the core. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Nice. Release yourself back down to the floor. Bring your knees together and then straighten them for a second. We're going to turn over onto our right side, holding our head in our hands, and then bend the knees in. We want our shoulders and our hips in line with each other, and then we want our hips in line with our heels. So if you have a mirror or something you can see yourself in, see if you can find that alignment. Otherwise, you can kind of feel for it. You should feel stacked with this position. So now we're going to separate the knees as we keep our heels together for our clamshells for 1. 2, we could throw the hip back to make this feel a little bit like a bigger movement, but then we're not actually doing the exercise. So what we want is to really feel this in our outer hips and our glutes. So it's a much smaller movement, but you should actually feel more. Keep the hips in line as you take your knee ever so slightly up towards the ceiling. You should really feel the burn in the glutes. Last 3, 2, and 1. Straightening that top leg, keeping the hips stacked and a little bit of space underneath the low back. Place your left hand forward in front of you as you lift the leg for 1, 2. Now you want to feel like you're not crunching into your side and you're lengthening through that hip. So as you extend, feel like you're lifting your leg more from the leg and not from the hip. And 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Nice. And then bending that knee, we're going to reach our bottom leg forward and work our inner thighs for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Very nice, and we'll switch ourselves over to the other side. I'm going to stay facing you guys so you can see me. Again, we're going to stack our ankles, our hips, and our shoulders with each other. And then keeping our hips parallel to each other. Taking that knee up and out for our clamshells for 2, 3, 4, 5, relax the shoulders, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Nice. Releasing that top leg down. Again, lengthening through the leg as you lift so as not to crease at the hips. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Bring that top leg down, and we're going to lift the bottom leg up for 1, 2, 3. Keep lengthening through that leg. And 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to switch to our back now, taking a stretch. Hold on to the back of your right leg, wherever is comfortable for you. Just make sure that you are not holding onto the back of the knee. And if you feel any pain in the back of the knee, feel free to give a little bend to that leg. So holding on wherever is comfortable for you. Go ahead and extend as best as you can. Breathing into the back of that right leg. If you need more of a stretch, straighten that left leg down to the floor and feel like that leg is heavy and pressing down into the mat. So both legs are active here instead of releasing that right leg and feeling like it's floating up towards, that left leg. Start to flex. And again for 2, 3, really feeling that stretch in the calf. 4. Nice, and then hold. Nice deep breath in that flex. See if you can walk the hands up a little bit further as it releases. Good, and then relax the leg, bend the knee, and try to bring it down to the right side of your chest as if you're going to drop that knee down to the floor. Hold on wherever is comfortable for you, so it might be your calf or your ankle. If you can, hold on to the big toes or reach for the bottom of the foot, pressing that knee down a little further. Keep that left leg active, pressing down into the mat as best you can. Nice. And then release and switch to the other side. Straightening that left leg up to the ceiling. Again, holding on wherever is comfortable for you. Start to really flex. If you want to, you can take a band or a towel, put it on the arch of the foot if that feels better. If you need more of a stretch, release that right leg down and really try to press it down as best you can into the mat. Starting to flex the foot as much as you can. And then point. Again for 2, 3, 4, 5, and flex and hold. See if you can walk the hands up a little bit further. Good. Keep nice length through that leg. Try to relax the upper body so we don't want to draw the shoulders up to the ears or strain the neck. And then bend the knee into the chest, holding on wherever is comfortable for you. Take the knee to the outside of your left, drawing it down to the floor as much as you can. And then release, hug both knees into the chest and rock from side to side, releasing and massaging the back. Okay, we're going to flip over onto our belly, working our back now. Keep your legs nice and engaged and bring your hands right underneath your shoulders. Palms flat down on the floor. Draw your shoulders away from your ears and your elbows in towards your side. And then squeeze your glutes here. You want to feel your lower mid-traps working and your glutes engaged here. You should feel the shoulder blades drawing towards each other. And you shouldn't feel any pinching in your low back. Instead, you should feel a nice extension. This should already feel like a lot of work here, but we're going to start to lift the chest up and lower back down. Keep the crown of the head lengthening here so that you're really lengthening the back. Couple more. Nice. And last 2. And 1. Stacking the hands, rest the forehead on your hands. Engaging the legs now even more. Pulling up on the kneecaps, squeezing the glutes, and pointing the toes as much as you can. This should already feel like a lot of work, and you should be able to hover your legs or your feet just above the mat with all of that energy. If you can, you're going to go a little bit higher by really engaging the hamstrings as well. But it's fine if you're here. Again, for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. And then release your hand. We're going to keep our neck in line with the rest of our spine by making sure that we tuck the chin slightly and gaze forward towards our mat. We don't want to gaze up towards the front of our room. So holding that gaze, bring the hands out to the side. Squeeze the glutes and lift for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Nice. Release back down. We're going to press back into a child's pose, rounding the back and releasing, giving yourselves a nice stretch. Stretch your arms forward. Try to drop your chest down towards the mat. If you can sink your hips down towards your heels, great. But just go as far as is comfortable for you. Take a few breaths. Now we're going to start to walk our hands over to the right side. Reach your left arm forward towards the right side and draw that left shoulder down towards your mat. Walking ourselves over to the right side now. Left arm really reaches forward and sinking down into that left shoulder. Should feel a nice stretch through the left side here. Coming back to center, one more stretch forward, and then coming back up. We'll come to a seated position. Sitting cross-legged or whatever is comfortable for you. Sitting up nice and tall, feel like you're lengthening through the crown of your head as your sits bones are drawing down towards the mat. We're going to reach our left hand over. Doesn't really matter which side you use. And then come up with the right. You want to feel like both shoulder blades are back up against the wall and you're not twisting forward at all. So just go as far over and to the left as you can feel like you're really parallel and you're not twisting your upper body forward at all. Take nice deep breaths in this side stretch. And then we'll switch over to the other side. Same thing here. Both shoulder blades down, only going so far into the stretch as you don't feel a twist. We'll alternate a little faster for 1, 2, and 3. Good. Coming back to center. And then we're going to come to a seated position still, but sideways. If you have sensitive sits bones and you're on a harder surface, go ahead and fold your mat up so this next exercise feels a little more comfortable. So here we're going to sit with our knees bent, feet flat on the floor, and we're going to tuck from our lower abs and our lower back just slightly. We're going to hold onto the backs of our legs. We don't want to round the upper back here, so we're supposed to stay nice and lifted through the chest. And then go ahead and lift your right leg up, and then bring the left leg up to meet it. Keep holding onto the backs of the legs. If this feels good, stay here. If you need more of a challenge, go ahead and extend your left arm and then your right arm forward. Keep holding, focusing on one spot in front of you. Get that balance. If you're a little new to this, you can always put pillows behind you so that if you do fall backwards, you know you're going to fall on something soft. And then coming back forward. Nice. Now go ahead and uncurl your mat. If you had rounded it out, we're going to sit again in a seated position. If you were in a cross-legged position and you remember which side you were on, go ahead and switch to the other side. And then we're going to take nice big torso circles around, alternating to the other side. If the arm movement is a little confusing, you can eliminate it and just bring yourself forward from side to side. Coming back up to center, we're going to round the body forward and lengthen up. Tuck the chin, lengthen through the back, and up. And then we're going to reverse flat back and round the spine up. Again for 2. Sitting up nice and tall. We're going to finish with our 3 breaths. Inhaling through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Again for 2. Nice deep inhale. Take a pause at the top. Hold for a second before you release. And one more time for 3. Nice work, guys. Thank you so much for joining me again, and I will see you in the next video.